I was like, TJ, I need this piece of property. Go get it. And you were like, okay.
So anyway, we're standing there, and I just remember like walking through that property and thinking like, what in the world are you going to do with this piece of dirt? And you're like, I'm going to build a barndominium. And I said, wait a second, you know how to build those? And you confidently replied,
absolutely. I build hundreds of them.
Yeah. Build them all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. And then we literally got in a truck and drove about 20 minutes down the road, and you showed me one.
I did.
And I was like, he's for real. He really can build these.
Yeah.
And I told you, I'll sell 1 million of them.
Yep.
And we shook hands.
And I'll build every one of them that you sell.
That's right. And we shook hands. You were like, look, everyone you sell, I'll build. We'll split it down the middle. It'll be great.
That's right.
And that's how it started, guys. Standing in a cow pasture in Greer, South Carolina.
Dreaming.
Greer.
We were dreaming.
So
that was the start of the hard work. We thought we were actually like, this is going to be easy.
Oh, yeah. It's a slam dunk.
Not a big deal.
Absolutely
we
nothing
thought we
could
had
go
struck
wrong.
gold.
Nothing could go wrong.
Nobody told us. We were on an uphill battle from there.
Yep. So I think we both laid some pretty big promises in the cow field that day. And, I remember leaving there and thinking, he believes I could sell 1 million of these.
I did.
And you were thinking,
he believes I can build 100 of them.
So that's kind of the framework.
Inside story, guys. Inside story. The one I took TJ to was the very first one we'd ever built.
Yeah. And it was like for family, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah. So it
was trial and error, up and down and up and down and up and down.
It impressed me. Right? The rest is history.
You fake it till you make it.
You did good enough to impress me. So, I was sold, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
So I dug my heels in. I was like, where are all the other ones you built? You're like, oh, everywhere. We'll go look at those another day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we kind of launched that thing, and then
they're all 2 hours away, though.
Yeah. And we were building those way out, One day we'll go look at some of those.
Yeah.
But I think we kind of started there. We both were looking for something, a change of pace. We both were making money, but we're kind of dissatisfied, never content. And so we shook hands, and then a few months later we kind of formalized it, created an LLC.
We kind of tripped a little while. We kind of toyed around with the idea. And you had some irons in the fire. I had some irons in the fire. And you called me one day and was like, we're either going to shit or get off the pot. Can we cuss on this thing?
Yeah, man, it's ours.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Roll with it.
We're basically going to crap or get off the pot. And you pulled my card and was like, go with me somewhere. And wow. Mm.
Yeah. Oh, I remember we made the LLC, and I kind of started asking questions in my circle of like, hey, why don't more people build hundreds of barndominiums? They're like, because it's impossible.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, no, for sure. What makes that impossible? And so the biggest thing was like, how do you build them, right? So that you can A, get insured, B, you could obtain traditional finance, which at the time was not even heard of. There was a few like remote banks around the country that would loan on these things, but really hard, really high interest, not a great program to build it off of, but
there's no doubt. You pioneered the way on that one.
Yeah. It was
I remember the day you called me and you were like, Fannie Mae just funded this, and you were like, we're going to take over the world.
And you were super.
And I really was like, I don't even know what he's talking about, but we're going to take over the world.
Yeah. So we kind of kicked this thing out, and in the beginning, the first few contracts we locked in were cash contracts. Mm-hmm. And so we jumped in. Neither one of us were like 100% in, but we were committed to try. And so I remember the conversation was like, if we built 6 or 7 of these things, it would absolutely crush. It'd change our lives. And so we were like, this is what we're doing. We formed an LLC. We went and rented a broom closet in Greenville. Had an office, baby. We was official.
No. Let's touch into that one for a minute. So 5 or 6 was kind of the goal. And you called me one day and you were like, we got to make this official. I was like, okay. So I went and rented a broom closet in a giant business park. I stole a desk out of the storage unit at the back, some room back in the back, and a chair that looked like it had been torn up by a Rottweiler. I put you in a room and you were like, I need a whiteboard. And I walked down the hallway and was like, this one looks good, and brought it in there to you. And I remember thinking, because at this time I was still running roofers my company, and I had some confidence in my company because I had income coming in from a different source. And I sat you in that room, and you're like, I need a computer. And I went to Apple, got you a computer, and I was like, I'll be back. And that was the moment where I was like, this is sink or swim. He'll figure it out or not. And I didn't. For me, I had no invested interest other than $500 for a rent in some little room and some stolen objects in an office. And I don't know how many days was it after that. You called me and was like, you need to come in.
Yeah, it was about, I don't know, 30 days or so it went by.
Yeah,
and I'd been working in that office, and
I carried on with life, guys. Just so you know,
we just went to work. I started doing some like organic marketing, and that's kind of what I've done my whole life is marketing. And so started running some campaigns, doing stuff, getting some interest in people, build a website, got some positioning going. I've got a really good friend who's like an SEO genius. And I was telling him I was painting this big vision. He was really excited, so he started running with that. And the phone just started ringing off the hook. And so I did a couple of videos on Facebook, and everybody I talked to was like, we want to do this. And I was like, great. So I just started writing names on the board. And started trying to figure out, like, okay, what do we do? So, like, we were, like, drawing plans on graph paper. We were, it's like, I don't know what to do now. I know you want a barn, and Ross can obviously build it. Mm-hmm. So let's figure this thing out. So it was just a bunch of yes. And then there was a day where we created this like funding, like people come in, we create a set of plans, and we were like, people were ready to sign contracts. So we created I created a contract, had them sign it. They're like, what's next? I was like, well, you got to fund it. And they're like, well, how much is the fund? And 40% just rolled off the tongue. I was like, this is what we do, which that's what we still do for cash contracts. It was really a great system. Like it was a perfect amount to get to know that these people really had the money to build, and also for us to be able to go in and pre-purchase a lot of the things and kind of lock pricing because we were on the tail end of COVID, and so materials were like a roller coaster.
We couldn't have opened it at a worse time.
No, it was terrible.
It was the best and the worst time.
No, for sure. And I just remember that day I called Ross. I was like, Ross, man, you need to come by here. We got to go open a bank account. And you're like, why are you stressing about this bank account? And I was like, because our attorney has over $1 million of earnest money, and he's upset because he can't release any of it. And then
I passed out.
Yeah. Ross is like,
my truck stopped in the middle of Pelham Road, turned around in a U-turn. I don't even know what was going on. I just went like full shock and drove up. Pulled up, ran into this business park area in our little broom closet, opened the door, and there was names stacked from top to bottom. And I was like, we're going to prison. We're going to prison.
Yeah. So
I was terrified.
No, and so was I.
It was that point where you had pulled my car and you were like, you're going to build them. And I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? It was a turning point in our company.
Well, we did what anybody would do. We broke ground.
I walked out of that room. The bathroom was beside us. Even TJ don't know this to the day. The bathroom was literally, they put our little broom closet beside the bathroom for the entire building. And I walked out of that room with all those names. Our attorney had the money. I walked in that thing and sat on the toilet and started praying like, God, if there's ever a time that you should be listening right now, this is it. I was terrified.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a situation where you had blind confidence in me.
Yeah.
I had blind confidence in you. And we've kind of operated in that capacity ever since. So, like, you're like, I don't have to think about marketing.
Well, we're yes men. That's the catch is that, can you? Absolutely. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's a super an unlikely story. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the Barndo Show podcast. If you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this content, hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And then be sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms at the Barndo Co. Super simple to find us. And then when you're ready to dive in a little more, maybe look around some of our available floor plan options or take a look at the gallery of our work, or maybe you're ready to connect with our team and explore what it looks like to build your dream barndominium, you can visit us online at thebarndoco.com.